one of our campaigns is the Art in Isolation campaign that we're doing. As long as you're home, if you have free time, boredom is the mother of creativity. So, when you think about kids who are getting in trouble at school, why are they acting out? Probably because they're bored. So, put that to use. If you've got kids at home, get them to do a project about this. Like, what does ADHD look like for them? Again, we're asking all ages, anybody.
ADHD Rewired, episode 322. This is the podcast for those of us with really good intentions and a slightly wandering attention. I'm Eric Tivers. I'm a licensed clinical social worker by training and a coach by design. I'm your host, and I have ADHD. ADHD Rewired is more than just a podcast. We are a community. We are wired for connection, and you are not alone. Go to ADHDrewired.com to learn how you can join us in our free secret Facebook group. Get additional resources for every episode, including links to any resources we mention on today's show. You can support us on Patreon, sign up for our email newsletter. You can request podcast postcards to distribute to your clients and support groups, and you can learn all about our intensive online video-based coaching and accountability groups. You can do all of this at our website, ADHDrewired.com. We know that starting is the hardest part, so let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of ADHD Rewired. Today we have returning to the podcast, I think second time or third time?
I think second time.
Second time? Okay. Yeah. And that's the voice of Dr. Kirsten Milliken. Dr. Milliken is a licensed clinical psychologist, an ADHD coach, and the author of PlayDHD, Permission to Play, a prescription for adults with ADHD. She works and plays in Portland, Maine with her 2 kids and partner, Perry. She has ADHD. Kirsten often says 3/4 seriously, half kidding. I love that line. It's if it's not fun, I'm probably not doing it. As a psychologist and coach, Kirsten has focused on educating her clients on the value of play in all its forms. As a naturopathic treatment for ADHD, suffice to say, she takes this very seriously.
Very.
Just for all the podcast listeners, so they know what I am looking at. Kirsten is always, in like some kind of costume, sorta, right? It's, what do you even call that on your head?
A fascinator. A fascinator. Yeah.
I think the last time I heard that, I was like, is that a real thing, or did you make that word up?
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Such a thing.
So it's like it's a hat that has feathers coming out in all different directions. This
one actually reminds me of something from Dr. Seuss. It's bright pink, and it's got curlies and feathers on it, and yeah. It's very Dr. Seuss-ish. So
and the lamp behind you has a Groucho Marx glasses and nose on it.
It has the Groucho Marx glasses with the funny eyebrows, but then it also has a clown nose on top of that because.
Because for no other reason.
Why not? Why wouldn't you?
So why do you want to come back on the podcast here? You got some stuff going on?
Come on, Eric. You've been begging me to come back on the podcast.
It's true. It's true. You finally returned my calls because make Eric go away. Fine, I'll come on the podcast if you leave me alone for the next 2 years.
Well, you begged me to come back on because of the current project that I'm working on with the fabulous Miss Chris Mitchell. We have a project going right now called the World Without ADHD. And, it occurs to me that when you just say that, people might misconstrue that we're thinking that we should just eradicate ADHD from the world. But in fact, what we're talking about is, would you want to live in the world without ADHD? So I want to ask you that question before I tell you any more. Would you want to live in the world without ADHD, Eric?
Is this a different question from if I could get rid of my ADHD, would I?
I think that's part of the question, but the other part of the question is realizing how many people who have ADHD and have contributed to amazing things in the world, from inventions to art, music, acting, financial companies, people who have been explorers, people who are both alive now and people in the past who we kind of assume from descriptions of what they were like, likely had ADHD. So, taking into consideration all of those things that we have now, or, opportunities that we have because of those people with ADHD, like, would you want to be rid of ADHD?
It is hard to imagine what my life would be like without it, because my whole life and business is all centered around it. Sort of that idea when I went in for a sleep study a couple of years ago, and I was also sort of fearful that what if I did have a sleep disorder and not ADHD, what would I do then? But I did not have a sleep disorder, and the ADHD is still alive and kicking. I've gone back and forth on this, and I have mixed thoughts on this. So on one hand, ADHD can be a real pain in the ass, and is it possible that I consider myself to be a creative. Is it possible that I would and could be a creative without the negative symptoms of ADHD? Cause if I can take the creativity and get some more executive functioning skills, like, please, can I sign up for that?
So what if we said, though, you would still be creative, but probably not in the same way as you are now? And I would think, like, maybe not as interesting and as exciting. You could be like everybody else in their
I tell you, I could go for some boredom right now.
You don't have enough right now?
I mean, different, like normal boredom. It's
gotcha.
So I don't. I have very mixed thoughts on this. I also think that when I used to work with a lot of clients who were sort of high functioning on the autism spectrum, one of the things that they would share with me is that they found it frustrating hearing all these lists of all the people with autism who did all these like really wonderful things and have these really amazing gifts. And, cause they're like, yeah, I'm pretty average on most of these things. I don't have these gifts that people are talking about. And, so, I think that and if depending on how it's messaged, we can say that, yes, you can have ADHD and do these great things. So don't discount yourself from, thinking that because you have ADHD that you can't do these, great things.
You cannot, right. We do not want people thinking that ADHD is something that holds you back. And
I mean, it certainly does hold me back from certain things in life. Yeah. There are things that I could say, sure. Could I do that? Yes. But it will require Herculean effort, and maybe that's just not worth it. And I'm going to focus my time somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, it's sort of a yes, no, maybe, depends on the situation. That's my answer.
It's one of those things. So I was actually, when I was born, something happened. So I can't really see out of my left eye. Never have been able to, but it really wasn't identified for what it is until later in life. And people have always said to me, you're like, what's that like, not being able to see out of that eye? And I said, I don't know. Like, I was born that way. How would I know what it's like to see out of two eyes if I've never had that vision? Yeah. And it's kind of asking the same question, like, what would life be like with, perfect vision in both eyes? I don't know.
Well,
it hasn't happened.
And I think because of the variability in ADHD, that like there are times where I am just on my A game and rocking it. And because of that bias to the now, I'm like, yeah, this is how I'm always doing. Right. Yeah. And then there are times like now where I am not rocking it. As we're recording this in the week 4 or 5 of COVID-19 stay at home orders, as I'm in my office during the stay at home orders.
Yeah.
But it's a remote office. So it's, but it's like, I've been struggling lately, and, so if I said I'm on my C- game, that might be generous. So like when I know and have seen and experienced and have lived, doing really well, and then I'm going through periods like I am right now. I would, if I can just average out to like the B+, maybe I would take that.
Right. Well, and that is part of, ADHD. I mean, even reading about Michael Phelps, how in between being under all this pressure to perform and all those kinds of things in the past, he kind of would slide into this, downside. And, it wasn't until he was under pressure again that he would really come back up. And I think that that's true for a lot of people with ADHD, whether they're, excelling in something or just regular old average, not yet famous people who have ADHD. So, I think that's part of being human. Unfortunately, when somebody becomes known for something, all we usually see are the upsides of everything that they do. So they're still human and they still struggle, of course, but it's looking at, are you shinier at times in your life because you have ADHD? Are you creating things that are a little bit more sparkly, for other people because you have ADHD?
I do think that the sort of capacity for divergent thinking is probably at a much higher capacity with ADHD. I've been doing these virtual open mics. And one of the things that I've been doing is I'm asking people to just give me like 3 completely like random topics and then, and an emotion. And I'm going to I would like on the spot, write a song with the tone of that emotion, like weaving a story with these things. I have a sticky note from my last open mic, to share with you what the song that I made was included.
Oh my God. Tell me.
COVID.
Just
the beach, me, myself and I, pillow, clock. And then the emotions were bewildered, befuddled, and discombobulated.
Are you going to play me the song?
Oh, I gotta be in the groove for that. It's my
Does your audience know how talented you are on the piano?
Maybe if they're patrons, they might.
Oh my God!
But we're doing another open mic here. I don't know when if this episode's gonna come out before or after this open mic, but we're doing on Saturday, April 25th at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Doing open mics on Zoom are incredibly fun.
I bet they are.
And karaoke.
And I just want to tell your listeners, I'm going to plug you because for years I listened to you tell me that you were going to participate in the talent shows that we had at conferences, and that you always held yourself back until last year. And last year you got up there and you killed it. You killed it. It was so awesome listening to Eric play piano. I loved it. So I feel like, the buildup for however many years, it was like 7 or 8 years to build up to that moment, was totally worth it. And having ADHD and saying that the buildup for that long a period of time was worth it, that's something. So it was
quite the climax. All right. So you're working on this project now where, how did it come out? Like what bring us to the inception?
I met Chris Mitchell, who's my partner in all of this, last year at the International ADHD Conference that was in Philadelphia. I was not presenting, but I saw in the schedule that somebody was presenting on fun theory. Now, play is usually my thing, so fun theory. And I thought, I've got to meet this person. And so I texted her and I said, we have to meet. And we had lunch together, and we fell in love with each other and decided to be friends, and said that we needed to work on a book together. And she was all in. She said, oh, I've already started one. And I said, well, let me show you what I've already started. And I sent it to her, and she said, oh my God, like you've almost got a full book here already. What do you need me for? But so we started working on that book, which was a little bit more, facts and solutions and things like that. And we came to wanting to submit presentations for this year's International ADHD Conference. And we thought, people really need to be in their face during the conference, aware of all the amazing things through history and across topics that people with ADHD have contributed. And when we were doing this, we both kind of came up with a statement together to end the session with, would you want to live in a world without ADHD? So having presented all these, interesting people and things that have been created because of them, would you want to live in the world without ADHD? And we just kind of had that like aha moment. We got stuck on it. And within 24 hours, I got back to Chris and I said, we're going to do a book. And at first I thought we had to get an artist for the book, but then I decided no, because this is about the ADHD community. So we actually need to get them to do the art for the book and the words for the book. So this is what we're going to do. And it just kind of snowballed from there. Chris and I swear to God, are twins separated at birth. She is, first of all, she's in Portland, Oregon, and I'm in Portland, Maine. We're both KM, Chris Mitchell with a K, and Kirsten Milliken. She swears she doesn't have ADHD. I'll believe her. I'm okay with that. She has a son who does.
I'm not convinced of that.
I don't know. She's got traits, whatever. She is awesome, though. She is terrific to work with. I will say she has way more executive function than I do. So maybe she's right. But we have just been having so much fun putting all of this together. And so we're crowdsourcing, and we're actually looking for people any age, any background, anywhere. This is an international project. People who either have ADHD or are affected by it. And to me, that means almost anybody who wants to submit a piece of art. And it can be three-dimensional picture of something three-dimensional. It can be a canvas, a photo, a digital image, or written words, anything from a quote that they came up with, an original quote, or a short, couple sentences, or a story. We're looking for all of that, and we're going to put all of that together. Ultimately, we're going to choose the best of it and put that together in a book that we're titling, Would You Want to Live in the World Without ADHD? Now, we're going further, though, Eric. I hear that you want to interrupt me, but there's more.
There's more.
It's like the ShamWow guy, right? There's more. So in addition to putting together the book, also the artwork and the words are going up on our gallery of awesomeness on our website, worldwithoutadhd.com. And we are ultimately going to be doing a online presentation of some of this work during the International ADHD Conference, which again is happening online this year. Is that
public information yet?
That is public information. I know. I said it to somebody the other day before it was public information, but it is. It's officially public.
Yep. So get a great discount on your hotel and travel lodging.
Right, exactly. It'll be terrific. So all you got to do is have internet connection and whatever the virtual ticket costs. So we are going to be showing that during that conference. And then we're also going to be doing an online auction of all the artwork with all of the funds from the highest bidders going to the conference sponsors, which are CHAD, ACO, and ADA, who are the nonprofits supporting the ADHD community. So lots of wins for everybody. The artists and writers get their work put out there into the public. The organizations that are supporting our community are getting some money out of it. So, yeah.
Over the last few months, our world has changed in ways that are sometimes hard to comprehend. At the end of February and at the beginning of March, there were 24 people who signed up for our spring coaching and accountability groups. This was just before the reality of COVID-19 took hold. While we are now in our 20th season of coaching groups, in which I've led 44 groups, coached more than 500 people, prior to this season, I had never led a coaching group or online community during a global pandemic. So I wasn't certain how this might change things. And between our coaching groups and our amazing alumni, the ADHD reWired coaching community is thriving because we are a community built on connection, and the need for support and connection has never been greater than it is right now. The members of our coaching community are helping each other adjust to our new normal. Whether it's a meeting 3 times a week in our accountability groups or our weekly sessions I lead for our alumni, the regular adult study halls where members are getting stuff done on Zoom, or participating in our cleaning groups, or joining a number of the daily or weekly accountability check-ins on Zoom led by various members of our alumni community. We recently rolled out a new meditation class led by one of our alumni who is a certified yoga and meditation instructor. We have a peer accountability group for creatives. We have an LGBT support group, and the list goes on. I want you to hear what 2 of our recent coaching group members said about their experiences.
I decided to join the group because I needed to get my shit together. And I was finally at a point where I felt like I could devote the time and spend the money. Like a lot of other people in this group, I've been wanting to do this since I first heard the coaching groups announced on the podcast. I had already grown so much just from listening to the podcast and found that so motivating that I knew I wanted to take it to the next level, be part of a coaching group. I learned that this can actually be an enjoyable process. It can be entertaining. Planning and scheduling don't have to be acts of self-flagellation. They can actually be acts of self-care, and they can turn from something that you know you need to do but loathe doing. It can turn from that into something you actually look forward to doing, and something that just makes the whole rest of your life come together a little bit more. I've learned that I still have ADHD, but the support continues, and I've made some great friends through this process that I think are going to help me continue to grow, and they will be someone I can reach out to when I'm just having those ADHD fails. And those people are people that I can commiserate with, but who also encourage me to get back and start trying again.
I decided to join the group. I've been listening to the podcast for years, and I kept procrastinating, and I would miss the invites. And I really thought it was mostly just going to be practical stuff. A lot of it was like the time blocking and all that stuff was practical, but it was the other component. It was the support and the love that we all had. I think I said in my first week, like we were doing time tracking, trying to predict how long things would take. And I said something like, if that's the only thing I learned, that money was worth it. I didn't have any expectation that we'd become a community. I learned a whole lot about myself, because I kind of always just thought I was just a shitty person because I couldn't do simple things others could do, and I couldn't maintain friendships because I just wouldn't communicate with people, then feel bad, then disappear. But in this group, I really felt understood, and I learned that it's not that I'm a shitty person. These aren't Leona problems. It's just ADHD, and there are workarounds around it. And I just really felt like really understood, seen by everyone. In fact, I would say that, including my family, I probably got closest with you guys than I have with anybody. And it was really nice to see that I could maintain a friendship, that people enjoyed talking to me, they wanted to help me. And I learned a lot about accepting help, being a friend, not beating myself up, as well as all that practical stuff that I learned. It really has changed my life a lot. And also, it doesn't end in 10 weeks because there's the alumni. So this is a community forever as long as you want it.
While there is a lot of uncertainty in the world around us, the ADHD reWired coaching community offers a sense of safety, support, routine, and meaningful social connection, all while fostering growth and helping members gain critical skills to better manage life with ADHD. If you're an ADHD reWired coaching group alumni and you are not currently a member of our coaching community, send an email to support@adhdrewired.com asking to join us, and we'll start new members off with a free month. But if you are one of the many people listening right now that have been thinking about joining us for months or years, take off the mask and turn on the computer and go to coachingrewired.com and click on the big blue button. Registration for our summer coaching season is coming up on May 28th. If you're already signed up for our summer coaching registration list, you should have received a save the date email already. And I'm shooting to get the actual invitations out by the end of the week. So watch your email and check your spam or promotional folders, because sometimes they end up there. Registration is by invitation only. If you have really been meaning to do it and you can't do it right now, how are you going to remember to go to coachingrewired.com? If you can't do it right now, this would be a really good time to hit pause and set a reminder or 2 or 5 to go to coachingrewired.com and click the big blue button. That's coachingrewired.com. I don't know the feasibility of this book. Do you think you can make a page and there's like the pop, like in those kids' books, like the pop-ups that
yes,
that would be fun.
That's funny because yesterday I was looking through some books that I had and I found this random book on Da Vinci and I thought, where the heck did this come from? Da Vinci, who we're hypothesizing had ADHD, of course. And it was a pop-up book on some of his projects. And I thought, oh my God, this is awesome. It was so awesome. So.
And it had like the magic eye or like which by the way, I think is like, I've never been able to see the image in one of those like magic. No. And I bet you can't either because of
I can't. I wasn't let into the military because I couldn't see those colored things. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always I'm like, really? People just like going along with the story that there's something in that picture. Like, 'cause I don't believe it. So how do people submit if they want to submit a story or
to this project or in general?
That's a whole different podcast or at least a different episode.
I know we should get Ari on for that one. Huh? So if they want to participate in the World Without ADHD project, you can go to our website, which is worldwithoutadhd.com. There are guidelines there. I finally put up a disclaimer because on the guidelines page, there was a lot of text because ultimately the pieces that we're going to select have to have certain, pixel depth and all that kind of stuff. But we just want people to be sending their work in right now. We will deal with all of the, guidelines and templates and, what parameters that we need for it to print correctly later on. We just want to get things in for right now so that we know what people want us to see. So, and we can get them up on the page.
Just thinking of all the different possibilities for a book like this.
So many.
You should have a page where remember like in those baby books, they have like the mirror.
Oh yeah. Yep. Like on the fuzzy bunny or whatever. Pat the bunny. That's what
the book itself could be like a fidget.
There so many options.
This book is going to cost $140.
It's going to cost $1 million. I know. Well, one of the things we're hoping for is that the not too distant future we'll be able to get things printed, in other countries where it's a lot cheaper so that we can add some extra details into it that might be out of our price range if we get it printed here. So
like the spine is somehow like has like little buttons on it that you can just kind of like click and fidget with.
That or it turns. Or
every time you open the book, it's sort of like the room of requirement. Every time you open the book, like just a different page, like something new pops into it.
There you go. It opens to a different page automatically, or the pages change on their own.
Yes.
You could do a whole Harry Potter thing where the images actually move, right?
Are you a visual artist?
Yes and no.
Tell me more.
I used to do Polaroid photography using some of the films where you could actually kind of mush them around and also like remove the images from the actual paper of the prints. And yeah, I don't do that anymore. My hobbies these days include, I'm showing Eric now for those of you who aren't going to be able to see. This is my free time now. I'm talking through a mask. So I've been making masks and headbands for medical workers these days. That's my current creativity. So
what about writing? Obviously you've written
I love
books.
writing.
What poetry? What kind of writing do you do?
More narrative stuff. These days, websites,
Writing websites.
Reports. In my real life, I do veteran exams and write reports all day long. So.
Oh man, I forgot that you do that.
I do. I do. I have to tell somebody, I haven't told anybody this, but it's occurred to me in the last couple of days that with this whole COVID thing and, reading how many people are not working, how many people are struggling financially, and in other ways, I actually feel guilty working right now. I'm not going to stop because I'm, there's a reason that I'm working, but I feel guilty that I'm working. I'm not bored and I'm making money right now. So I'm also grateful for that. But yeah.
What about your play diet?
My play diet is sewing and writing. And anybody who follows me on my personal page gets treated to videos every once in a while of me and my partner, Perry. We rehab old vintage trailers.
Really?
We are currently working on a 1963 holiday rambler. Her name is Betty Lou.
That has to be a lot of fun.
It is tons of fun. And I'm thinking it's really good timing because, traveling in the near future by plane in particular or any other public transportation is not going to be the best idea in the world. And if we're pulling our little house, which is our vintage camper behind us, we don't have to worry about any of that. So yeah.
I think that at some point, I don't know, maybe the next 5 to 10 years, there's an RV in my future.
They're awesome. I will say when we go to the RV parks, right now we have a little Ciro Scotti in 1960, I think it's 68. And so we always pull in there and it's a vintage camper. It's cute, but B, we're always surrounded by these things that are bigger than the average bus. They are enormous and it's hysterical. And we always start making fun saying, how ridiculous, but at some point we also say, man, I wish we had like all these amenities. It's crazy what you can put into those things these days. So yeah, I'm still having fun. Lots of fun, as a matter of fact, which is why, again, I feel a little guilty because everybody else seems to be suffering. Even going to the grocery store these days is fun.
Okay, please tell me how you're having fun going to the grocery store.
Eric, if you have not seen this, so if you go on either World Without ADHD or Play ADHD on social media, you will find the pink rainbow unicorn at the grocery store. Most recently, you can find the pink rainbow unicorn meets the Easter bunny when I was at the grocery store and as the pink rainbow unicorn, and the Easter bunny spontaneously showed up to have a little get together.
I am doing a little internet search here because all right. So
somebody took a TikTok video of me the first day I did it at the local grocery store, and as of last week, there were 75,000 views of it.
What?
Yeah, it was insane.
How do I find this?
That one was on TikTok.
Okay, so I'm gonna. I've actually never been on TikTok. Like I keep hearing about it.
I had never been on it either.
I don't know what it is.
I had it on my phone. Had never been on it, but I happened to randomly find it by searching under Maine and Hannaford's.
And, is that a grocery store, Hannaford's?
Yeah, it is. Or you can just go on my Facebook page because that TikTok video is on my Facebook page. So
you're sending me in so many different directions right now.
It's an ADHD.
Wait, TikTok.
Lollapalooza here.
How do I search TikTok?
I can't tell you.
I'm already overstimulated. Okay.
Go to my Facebook page. So I would actually, for your listeners, I would go to either my Instagram or my Facebook page on Play ADHD or World Without ADHD on either of those. And the videos are there.
Oh, and Facebook is doing a new design apparently.
Yes, they're fabulous. I know. Just to keep us on our toes.
Yes. I'm sure listening to me try to look for something on the internet. It makes great podcasting.
I think everybody's got bated breath just waiting for you to go, oh my God.
I'm just like, am I going to find it? Wait, so on your personal page or on your...
It's all over the place.
Oh God.
It's all over the place.
Give me one place to go.
I would go to...
so I'm on your personal page right now, I think.
Yeah, okay. Just look on there. I'm sure it's
okay.
on there.
Apparently I'm socially oblivious. I have said at least
am.
5.
It's going to be way down there.
Okay. Scroll. What the hell? My God.
The things that happen in my head. I know.
Oh my.
Go to World Without ADHD.
That is the creepiest thing that I have seen in a long time.
What are you talking about?
Your flower pot with the baby head.
I know, right?
Oh my God.
So that's another thing that I do to entertain myself. I actually have a baby head garden that comes out in the spring and summer, because I'm in Maine and it's cold here, that all the little baby heads have plants in them. I've chopped all their heads off. And then I also have trolls. Do you remember the old trolls with the,
yes,
with the hair? So I take the hair out of them and their heads are actually hollow. And so instead I put little air plants in them, which is way better than funky hair. So
is it this, the rainbow unicorn reeds, the pokey little puppy?
Oh, that was the recent one. That was the recent one for my friend's preschool. Keep going down. It's even better.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I see a World Without ADHD thing. I see, you putting leftover materials in your hair. What Dingus
so Eric, what were you saying about play? And what am I doing for fun?
If you're like on board, just go to Kirsten Milliken's Facebook page and you'll get lots of ideas. This podcast is brought to you by our patrons over at patreon.com/ADHD rewired. Did you know that if you become a patron at the $25 a month level, you can join me and a small group of other patrons for an hour of coaching? Coaching with me and some of your peers once a month is a great way to get some coaching, especially if you are unable to invest in your coaching and accountability groups. Consider becoming a patron at the $25 a month level. Our next group call is on Tuesday, May 26th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. You are probably all familiar now with Zoom. We do these calls on Zoom. Consider giving at the $25 a month level and join us. Our group coaching calls are every fourth Tuesday of the month at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And I really want to thank all of our patrons who help cover the cost of making this podcast. And I would like to welcome our newest patron, Michael S., who joined us at the $25 a month level. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next coaching call. I appreciate all of you who are listening who can financially support this podcast, and really any amount does help. Thank you so much. If you can't give financially, especially right now, don't worry. And also, if you are a patron and your financial situation has changed due to COVID-19, if you need to decrease your pledge or pause your contribution until things pick back up again, please don't hesitate to do so. Ratings and reviews are also really helpful ways to support this podcast. And you can also share it in your online communities. Whether you can become a patron at the $25 a month level or more or less, any amount helps, and you get perks at all amounts starting at $5 or more. All of your support is appreciated. To become a patron, go to ADHDrewired.com/Patreon. Patreon is Patreon. That's ADHDrewired.com/Patreon. And thanks. Hey, did you catch yesterday's episode of Hacking Your ADHD? On this week's episode, Will talks about moving from defense to offense. Check out Hacking Your ADHD with Will Kerb this week and every Monday. Join Will as he explores ways that you can work with your ADHD brain to do more of the things that you want to do. Subscribe to these short, mindful ways to hack your ADHD. Go to hackingYourADHD.com for show notes and to subscribe. And don't forget that every Friday you can check out ADHD Essentials with Brendan Mahan. At ADHD Essentials, they help families develop the skills and knowledge needed to help better manage ADHD. Go to ADHDessentials.com to learn more. Both Hacking Your ADHD and ADHD Essentials are both part of the ADHD Rewired podcast network, available to everyone, everywhere you consume podcasts. And mark your calendars to join us next month for our live Q&A. Join me, Brendan Mahan from ADHD Essentials, and Will Kerb, the host of Hacking Your ADHD, as we answer your questions live. We do this every second Tuesday of the month at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern for an hour of live Q&A. While we do try to stream these on Facebook, the best place to join us is on Zoom, and you can register to join us there at ADHDrewired.com/events. That's ADHDrewired.com/events. Our next live Q&A is June 9th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. See you there. So what, Walter?
The farting dog. Oh, or something else.
Hello, I'm Walter. I'm coming to you from my home in Southern California, where, like most of you, I've been self-isolating with my family, doing what the experts are telling us we should. It's for the good of our country and for the world. And
so the pink unicorn is a giant costume. Some people have seen the T-Rex costumes.
Okay.
They're inflatable that people are walking around in.
I saw that unicorn in Portland again today. Okay. So I guess you could hear, but you're going to pretend that you're hearing it. I'm going to push.
There's not a lot to hear because, how much does a pink unicorn actually say?
I don't know. What does a pink unicorn say? Is that you in the costume?
That is me in the costume. Do you know it took so long for people to realize that?
I mean, that's a full-on pink unicorn costume.
It is a full-on. It's like an 8-foot,
Isn't
9
inflated?
foot tall.
There
are little fans inside that inflate it. Yep, it's perfect for social distancing because it totally covers you, including your face. And so that is. I go to the grocery store in that, and the people who work in the grocery store in particular love it because usually they're, they got to work.
Yeah,
and they got to be around people all day long, which is not the safest thing right now. So I do make sure that when they acknowledge me, that I thank them for being there.
So is this like is this also include a face mask? I'm trying to see the up close.
It has actually a clear plastic thing that goes over my face. That's like in the middle of the neck of the unicorn.
So this is like a hazmat suit.
It's like COVID approved, right?
Where do I get these?
Amazon.
I want a pink unicorn costume too.
They've got white ones, not nearly as cool. And the tail is rainbow colored.
I want one. I would go to Costco with one of these.
I tell you what, I'll send you one if you submit something to our project at worldwithoutadhd.com.
Can I submit pictures of myself going to Costco in that costume?
You could. Absolutely.
What's the date for submission? Is there a deadline?
So
next week
we've got a due date right now of July 1st.
Okay.
But of course, the sooner you get it in, the sooner it'll be on our page, and we'll have it in front of us so that we can start contemplating how we can use it in the book.
So let's tell people May 1st.
Well, originally we did that. I just want to say, a few things. First of all, now is a great time. One of our campaigns is the Art in Isolation campaign that we're doing. As long as you're home, if you have free time, boredom is the mother of creativity. So, when you think about kids who are getting in trouble at school, why are they acting out? Probably because they're bored. So, put that to use. If you've got kids at home, get them to do a project about this. Like, what does ADHD look like for them? Again, we're asking all ages, anybody.
If you look at my my living room currently,
yeah,
that's what ADHD looks like.
There you go. There you go. I mean,
it's everywhere.
I'm hoping that there's glitter everywhere in your living room. That's what I'd like to picture.
Actually, we have a no glitter policy in the house.
Oh, damn.
Sorry. I am very anti-glitter because it can get in the eye. Glitter in the eye.
Yeah, it does get everywhere. It does get everywhere. So, but, create something. And again, everybody says I'm not artistic. Great. Then write something, tell me how ADHD has made your life fabulous, or. Do
you have a story that you could share? Something you wrote?
A story?
Yeah.
Oh God, you're reaching here. I don't know. I feel like my ADHD got me to do this project. So,
but you said you like writing narrative.
I do. One of my favorite quotes was when I was doing the writing the book for Play ADHD. I'm not sure it's actually in the book. Was play is like toothpaste. You should use it at least twice a day for a bright smile. There you go.
I just thought you were going in a completely different direction.
See, right? Surprise. Shocker. So here's another story I can tell you. It has to do with ADHD. I'm quite sure of it. When I was in high school, I was a relatively good student. I thought I was a way more brilliant student than my grades actually reflect. But, my math teacher said, go into math. My science teacher loved me and said, go into science when I was going to college. My psychology teacher, though, said to me, Kirsten, whatever you do, don't go into psychology.
Really?
She totally did it. I can still see her face standing in the hallway. Kirsten, whatever you do, don't go into psychology.
Do you think that she knew you that well, that she knew that if she said that to you, that was going to be the direction you'd go in?
I have no idea, but it was like, as soon as she said that, the light bulb went on and I was like, game on.
Have you ever thought about tracking this teacher down?
I think she's probably dead. She was old then. So I can only imagine. I do know that story is in my book. And I've written it in other places and shared it at other times because it just, give me a challenge. And that took me a long time. So it was 4 years of undergraduate, 4 years of graduate school, and then 3 years, all but dissertation to finish that. So, but I did, man, because it was a challenge. Whatever I do, don't become a psychologist. And I was damned if I was going to let her tell me not to do something.
If this was a high school psychology teacher, my guess was that she knew your number.
I don't know. It was my 8 a.m. class, 10 a.m. class, and I often was not present because I wrote my own notes. And if I didn't feel like getting to school on time one day, I would just write a note and say, I was late, whatever. Is
that where your whole, permission slip to play or prescription to play comes from?
Prescription to play is because I'm a doctor. So, I should be able to write prescriptions. And I think playing is one of the natural antidotes to ADHD challenges. So, which is in line with this whole thing too, which is, being creative should be playful and fun. So.
Do you have a game for us?
Do I have a game for you? Are these is this like the list of questions that you usually ask people? Do you have a story? Do you have a game? I don't have a game that I could do verbally. Can I tell you though that I presented in Kuwait a few years ago. And that game where you have to put all the pieces in before the bottom pops up and throws them all out?
Or Perfection?
Yeah, I think it's like Perfection. It is. I actually got Dr. Ned Hallowell up on stage doing this game with me. It was pretty funny to see him do it. And it was all around organization and planning, because if you put all the pieces, like if you just take a jumble of pieces and try and put them in really quickly, like it's almost impossible to get it done.
Wait,
right?
There's a strategy to this game?
There is a strategy. And then if you turn them all so that they're facing, with the knobs up, that makes it a little bit easier so you can do it a little bit quicker.
I could see that.
But then if you actually lay them all out in the right pattern to go in before the timer starts, you can do it really quickly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just remember my son probably being like 4 years old and we tried this game, and I think it induced a panic attack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can see why. Yeah, you're on the edge of
we
your
play the
seat.
version of the game where the timer and vibration is not actually set.
Right.
So
right. I'll just tell you when it's because it does pop up rather violently.
It really does.
It does, and it makes a loud noise. So yeah.
Have you ever played the game Catchphrase?
No.
It's got that it's a little round disc, and it has a different. It's sort of similar to Taboo, where you're trying to get the person to say like the catchphrase.
Yep.
But you hit the start button and it starts beeping. And I swear like the game makers probably like lab tested this to say, what kind of beeping and at what rate can we make people as anxious as because as the time goes on, the beeping gets faster. And it is It's fun, but crazy.
God. Time pressure is, I can't deal with time pressure at all. It's like my brain goes right offline. So
do you play video games?
I don't.
No.
My kids, you know what? When I was younger, I used to love video games, mostly arcade games, I should say.
What was your favorite arcade game?
Oh my God. Back in the day, it was Centipede because I was really, really good at it.
Is that the one where like you keep eating these like dots and the thing grows?
You got to go all over the place and you got to, yeah. So I could literally on a quarter play for like a half an hour, 45 minutes. So, but I also loved when they came out with the multi-level pinball games. Those were some of the, Dark Knight. That was one of the first ones. And I just loved
because there was like a real kinesthetic element to those games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just, we've got a place in town called Arcadia that has some of those old games and I love going and playing them. So yeah.
It's probably closed right now though.
Probably. I'm guessing so.
Well, Dr. Kirsten Milliken, I think, sometimes fun things come in shorter episodes. And I think that we're just going to wrap this one up.
I think that's a good idea. Can we end it by reminding people that they should use their boredom to get creative and submit their writing and any kind of artistic work to worldwithoutadhd.com.
Excellent. During this whole episode, I just keep thinking the tune in my head is what the world needs now.
Is ADHD sweet ADHD?
There we go. All right. Dr. Kirsten Milliken. Go check out the website, submit your creative works. And we look forward to seeing how this all comes out. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks for playing.
Anytime, Eric.
This is Eric Tivers. Thank you for listening and congratulations for making it to the end. ADHD Rewired is more than just a podcast. We are a community focused on learning, growing, and connection. The website is ADHDrewired.com. You can find summaries and additional resources for each episode. You can apply to our free and secret Facebook community. You can learn more about ADHD Rewired's intensive online video-based coaching and accountability groups and sign up for my email newsletter to get exclusive content you won't get anywhere else. It's all at ADHDrewired.com. While you're there, click the Patreon button. If you're a regular listener and you're still listening to my voice, consider making a monthly contribution by becoming a patron through our Patreon page. If you are able to financially support my work, it would mean a lot. This show is free to listeners, but it is not free to produce. And patrons get really cool perks. You can follow me on Twitter at Eric Tivers. You can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/ADHDrewired. If you're a coach, therapist, or related professional, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/Eric Tivers. You can also subscribe to ADHD Rewired on YouTube. And you can subscribe to ADHD Rewired on YouTube and see select interviews and some other videos I've posted. Podcasts change lives. You can make a difference in someone's life by spreading the word about this podcast. Mention it in your online communities on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, or wherever you hang out online. And be sure to share it with your friends and your family and your clients, as well as your coaches, therapists, and doctors. And if you're a coach, therapist, doctor, or ADHD support group leader, and you would like a pack of podcast postcards to hand out, you can request those at my website, ADHDrewired.com. And if you're a member of CHAD or any other ADHD support group, please be sure to tell them about this podcast. You can even show them how to download it on their phone. You know, you might be the person that turns somebody on to a podcast for the very first time. And if you really love this episode, please consider hitting share on your podcast player. I'm only one person, and I count on you to help me spread the message. One of the biggest things that you can do to support this podcast and to help other people discover it is to leave an honest rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or any other podcast app that accepts ratings and reviews. And don't forget to hit subscribe on this podcast on your podcast app so new episodes are automatically pushed to your favorite podcast app. Looking for more ways to listen and learn? Get a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/ADHD rewired. Not sure where to start? In no particular order. Check out Atomic Habits by James Clear, The Body Keeps Score by Bessel van der Kolk, 10% Happier, and Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics. These are both by Dan Harris. Change Your Questions and Change Your Life by Marilee G. Adams. The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. Procrastinate on Purpose by Rory Vaden. The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. Do you have trouble asking for help? Listen to The Art of Asking by Amanda Palmer. It's one of the best produced audiobooks I've ever heard. If you're looking for something a little bit more, say, magical, I unexpectedly fell in love with the Harry Potter series. And I don't usually listen to those kinds of books, and I loved it. And of course, if you haven't yet boarded the Brene Brown bus yet, check out Brene Brown's books, starting with The Gifts of Imperfection, Daring Greatly, Rising Strong, The Power of Vulnerability, and if you're an entrepreneur or leader in any capacity, check out her 2018 book, Dare to Lead. And Brene still is my most wanted guest, so if you know Brene, and you would be so kind to make that connection for me, I would be really, really grateful. You know who else I would like to have on the show? You. Click the podcast tab at ADHDrewired.com and then click the Be a Guest button at the top of that page and schedule a 15-minute pre-interview. This is Eric Tivers, reminding you to keep learning, keep growing, and keep connecting. Self-care is not selfish, and no matter what gets done or doesn't get done, at the end of the day, you are still enough. And no matter how hard it feels, we can do hard things. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next week.